Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and again on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on KATX and KWBY as Angela Robinson joins Stace Gaddy to share important financial information to help you live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, estate and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
As always, a pleasure to have you in, everyone. Welcome to the program, Life Planning 101. I'm Stace Gaddy, as the nice announcer man said, and our guest and expert, Angela Robinson from Kennedy Financial Services, right here in Eastland. It's a pleasure to have you. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Stace. Happy to be on the show this morning. What a great day it is. We've got a whole line of things lined up today I'm real excited about, one of which we've recently discussed. I think we did this back maybe late last year when actually the changes came out about Social Security benefits. And we're going to talk about those benefits that are going to be disappearing on April 30th because we're running out of time. We would agree. I mean, here we are. We're 2 months out. And I want to make sure everybody is aware of what's going on so that if these benefits would benefit you, then you can definitely take advantage of those. And I also want to throw in some things about Social Security, specifically on taxes, because I know we're addressing tax season and a lot of people forget the tax effect of Social Security or the things that it could cause. And I think it's important to re-talk about that. And then, of course, we've got a guest speaker on the show this morning, and I am really excited. This is an internationally known speaker. So we are very, very honored to have him on our show. He'll be after our first break, so you definitely don't want to miss that. But let's get into a little bit about the taxes on Social Security, and then we'll save the deadline for the last segment of the show. I thought this was astonishing when I actually found this number. I found a number through Kiplinger back in 2012. I couldn't find an updated number that approximately 15 million Americans pay taxes on their Social Security benefits.
Wow.
Yeah. I imagine that's higher, and the only reason I do is because more and more baby boomers, there's some odd 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every day. So I imagine that number is quite a bit higher by this time, because we are talking about 4 years' time. That's a lot of baby boomers in the mix. But I thought that was amazing because a lot of people think about their Social Security benefits and they think, well, I've paid taxes on my earnings my whole life. Why would I be paying taxes on the benefits that I'm getting back out of paying into this system?
Yeah,
right? But you can actually be taxed on up to 85% of your benefits at your ordinary income tax rates. So let's just give an example of that. Let's assume that your Social Security benefits are $30,000 a year. And you're in that highest tax bracket, that 39.6% tax bracket. That means you're paying $11,880 of your benefit back to Uncle Sam.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So reason I bring this up is because I think it is incredibly important for you to address your overall financial picture when determining how and when to take your Social Security benefits. A lot of people believe, well, this is just extra cash in my pocket. Well, not necessarily. In fact, it could cause everything else to be taxed more. A lot of people, you probably agree with me, Stace, that are taking Social Security benefits are retired. Would you agree with that?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So a lot of them are living off of Social Security, maybe a pension, and their investment income, right? Well, if you start taking your Social Security benefit, it may cause all of your capital gains to be taxed that weren't taxed before or taxed at a higher rate. Have you ever thought about that?
Mm-mm.
So those are important things to think about. Yeah, it's very important to think about. It's not that, you're just getting this extra money. And unfortunately, there's another element that's even worse than the taxes, okay?
Say it ain't so.
Yes, all right. So if you're under full retirement age, which is 66 years old today, if you start taking benefits before then and you are still working, you have to be very careful. In fact, the government doesn't want you earning over $15,720 last year, and if you're actually going to take your benefit. If you earn over that, what they're going to do is they're going to take $1 for every 2 benefits that you receive back away from you.
Wow.
That's 50%. Plus, you're going to pay the taxes on it.
So that's the number, 15.7.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. And
Yeah.
I wondered what that number was, too.
Yeah. So it's really important for people to consider, is it really the best time for me to take my Social Security benefits? We all want extra cash in our pocket, right? I mean, we always think, okay, well, I'm eligible, I should start taking them. Well,
But we don't want to throw cash down the toilet.
That's right. It depends on how much you want to pay Uncle Sam. I mean, in someone's case like that, they may be ending up paying, 80% back to the government of their Social Security benefit. Isn't that nuts? Okay.
crazy.
In fact, I want to tell you about No Plan Joe. Okay. No Plan Joe had his full retirement benefit at age 66, and he was expected to be about $2,500 a month. And he was very successful, had no intentions to retire from work, at least until he was 66. His earned income was $50,000, but all his investment income landed him in the 33% tax bracket. So it's not a high tax bracket. That's just pretty normal for a retiree, okay? So while playing golf with a group of like-aged friends, they discussed the fear of not getting their benefit if they were to die early. Never heard that one before. Okay, so this struck fear into No Plan Joe, so he immediately went and filed for his benefit. His statement showed he would be at a reduced benefit of $1,875 a month because he was starting at age 62. And what he didn't know was that reduced benefit would take even more of a hit of his earned income. After the reduction, he would actually only receive $446.67 a month. And additionally, he would pay tax on 85% of his benefit. This would further reduce his monthly benefit to $321.38.
Wow.
Okay, get that. It went from $2,500 a month to $321 a month. That's painful.
That hurts.
Okay, so you definitely want to be able to pay careful attention to the taxes. And again, we're going to talk a little bit more about strategies, but when we come back, we've got our guest speaker, and you don't want to miss him, internationally known real estate market cycle guru. He is great. We're really excited to have him, and it's a gentleman that has spent almost 40 years in the real estate industry. So he is definitely somebody that he knows what he is doing. He's a professor currently at Denver University. While on the side, he actually works with a company called Dividend Capital, which is a real estate company, and he puts out a quarterly real estate market cycle monitor letter, and it is absolutely fabulous to read.
This is No Plan Joe. You're listening to Life Planning 101. You do not want to miss the rest. Trust me. Welcome in, everybody. Back to Life Planning 101. I'm Stace Gaddy. Angela Robinson is our guest. Good morning again, ma'am.
Good morning, Stace. We are so honored, so pleasure to be able to have Dr. Glenn Mueller on the phone with us this morning, and just to kind of give us what's going on in real estate, what's actually happening with where different investment vehicles are that you can take advantage of, what long-term returns have looked like, and what income-producing real estate has looked like and will look like in the future. So, Dr. Mueller, are you with us this morning? We finally get in touch?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much for being on the show with us this morning. I know you're extremely busy, gentlemen, and it's just a pleasure to have you calling in all the way from Denver, Colorado.
Thank you.
So I know you had some things that you wanted to be able to share with us. You may have missed our introduction. We were talking, I gave intro to you about a little bit about your history, as well as the things that you were going to talk about. I know one of those things was talking about why commercial income producing real estate fits in an investor's portfolio. Do you want to start there this morning?
Sure. The reason that people should have income-producing real estate in their portfolio is it has bond-like characteristics in the fact that people pay rent every month, and it's an essential part of every single business in that every business needs land, labor, and capital to be able to do everything to operate. So, and with 5 major property types: office properties, industrial properties like warehouses, retail properties where you shop, apartments that people rent, and hotels. All 5 of those are an essential part of our world, if you will. And that income-producing part typically goes up as inflation increases and as the economy does well. Every time someone gets a job, they have to work someplace, and therefore space has to be rented for them to be able to work. In addition, real estate has historically also appreciated or increased in value over the same time. So if we look at the long-term investments, real estate, when we look at institutional investors, the pension funds and the endowments of the world, they typically have an allocation of somewhere between 5 and 20% of their total investments allocated to the real estate asset class. Smaller investors should do the same thing.
Right. We're huge endowment model proponents of making sure that small investors try to mimic as much as they can on those endowment models. And I know that's so important because we're so used to just the traditional stocks and bonds, but there's so many other investments out there that can help stabilize and smooth out, this roller coaster called the market that we're all used to. But would you give us some insight into what long-term returns have been in the income-producing real estate world?
Sure. Well, there's kind of two major things. All the pension funds and endowments typically work with that buy real estate, put their information on their properties into an index called the NACREIF, the National Council of Real Estate Investment Fiduciaries Index. And historically, over time, the return on that index has been, as a matter of fact, it started in 1978. So over the past 38 years, its return has been 9.12%.
Wow.
And most of that coming from income, about 70% from income and about 3% from price appreciation. So basically real estate keeps up with inflation. As you know, over the past 15 years, inflation's only run about 2%. But quite a decent return. As a matter of fact, last year, as you know, the stock market was sub 2% return. The NACREIF index last year did 13.3% for 2015.
That's pretty impressive. So what investment vehicles are actually available for, investors that aren't these institutional investors like the endowment funds and the pension strategies and those things out there?
Well, probably one of the largest available for individual investors are REITs, real estate investment trusts. And a REIT, very simply, is very much like a mutual fund. A mutual fund takes a whole bunch of people, pools their money together, and then turns around and makes investments with some kind of strategy, large cap stock, small cap stock, value added, that kind of thing. REITs do the same thing, but they typically focus by property type. So you would do a office REIT, an industrial REIT, a retail REIT. And there's really two types of REITs as well. You can have, there are many that are traded on the stock market. So unfortunately, their prices many times are volatile, like the stock market. As a matter of fact, last year, the publicly traded REITs did only about 2.5% total return because basically their prices were down a little bit while they had very good income, and as a matter of fact, their incomes increased. We also have non-traded REITs, less liquid, of course, because they're not traded on the stock market, but where you would invest in the REIT, in a REIT that's gathering money, and eventually it has a liquidity event, that makes it. My company, Dividend Capital, had a liquidity event last year. We built $1.5 billion equity investment in industrial properties, and ended up selling it. We bought about $3.3 billion worth of properties and sold it for $4.4 billion. So there's the REIT vehicle, like a mutual fund, is typically what most individual investors do. Many people try to buy individual properties, but then you're buying one property typically in the town you live in, so you're kind of concentrating your risk where you live, which may not be such a great idea. Unfortunately, the institutional investor is much harder to do what they do and buy really large multi-million-dollar properties in many cities around the country.
Yeah, and I know, there's many of these businesses, real estate companies, are actually putting together more of a hybrid type of investment vehicle that lowers the volatility that you experience from a traded REIT, but doesn't involve necessarily all the illiquidity of a non-traded REIT. And I know we're running out of time, but can you speak to that for just a moment? And again, if I don't get to catch you before we get cut off, we really appreciate you joining us, Dr. Mueller.
Right. Yeah. The new vehicle is again a REIT, but it's called a daily net asset value, where they value the properties every day, and then you can redeem through the company. In other words, say to the company, "I'd like to get my money back." And so the new daily non-traded REIT vehicle is just starting to grow in popularity, where it's valued in the direct property market, as opposed to via the stock market.
Great.
I think that's the new vehicle that most people should will be seeing as a good strategy that actually mirrors the NACREIF index from the institutions. As a matter of fact, NCREIF is now doing an index of those daily net asset value REITs.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. That's an exciting thing for us to see as an evolution in the industry, because we've been real estate proponents for over 10 years. And of course, you always have to talk to an advisor about what your unique situation is, and there is no one size fits all. But, we just truly appreciate your experience of almost 40 years, Dr. Mueller, and thank you so much for joining us this morning on the show.
Okay, thank you, and have a blessed day.
You too.
There you go, folks. Always great information from some of the world's, not just the nation's, but some of the world's great minds. Life Planning 101 is the program. We'll take a quick break, check in with our sponsors. We'll be right back with Angela Robinson. Keep it right here. This is our final segment of Life Planning 101 this morning. I'm Stace Gaddy, our expert, and a guest from Kennedy Financial Services, Angela Robinson. Man, I'm impressed.
Wasn't that great?
Yes, I mean you deal with the top echelons of people.
Yes, we are. We're very blessed in our industry. We work independently, and we do that for a reason, so that we can go out there and seek the very best of the best, and we're not told what products we have to offer our clients. And because we don't think there is one size fits all, we think every situation is unique, every individual, every family is unique, and they need to be treated uniquely.
This political season, the climate in the air is exactly that, too.
Yes,
Why do you
is.
think some of these so-called outsiders are doing so well? Because they don't like the concept of somebody being bought and paid for and influenced.
That's
and that's
right.
what you're telling me your company does.
That's exactly right. Is that we don't want to be bought and paid for and influenced. We want to be able to do what's best for our clients. And
Absolutely.
we're in the midst of making a lot of changes right now, just because of that. It's hard on us. I will be honest. It's put a lot of sleepless nights for me and stress and things, but it's what's best for our clients. And that's what's most important. So before we run out of time, I promised you we would talk about the things that need immediate attention with Social Security filing strategies, and I want to get to these because you've got only till April 30th of 2016. That means 2 months.
It means now.
But right now, before you can take advantage of this, all right? So if you were born on or before May 1st, 1950, you can do this strategy. So in other words, if you turn 66 now or before May 1st, you can actually take advantage of this strategy. And here it is. This is so powerful. It can add tens of thousands of dollars back in your family's pocket by doing this, okay? Let's suppose you're married. At age 66, you can actually choose to file for your benefits and then immediately choose to suspend taking those benefits. This allows two things to happen. First of all, your benefit will continue to accrue, which if you wait till age 70, you're going to get 132% of what your benefit would have been at age 66. That's pretty big,
Yeah.
okay? The market doesn't often return 8% over every 4-year period of time, so that's definitely, what you need to think about there. That's pretty powerful. The second thing that it's going to be able to do is it's going to allow your spouse to choose to be able to go ahead and take off of your benefit payment today, half of your benefit payment. So let's say that your benefit was $2,000 a month and your spouse's was only going to be $800. Well, if you file and suspend, they can take half of yours, which is $1,000. That's bigger than theirs. And you still continue to let yours accrue. Now, after April 30th of 2016, that's gone. You're not able to do that anymore. If you file and suspend your benefits, then all that means is that your spouse has to suspend taking part of your benefit as well. It's not there. And what's so powerful about that is that your spouse can actually come back and, at the end of that period of time, and y'all can get that raise in income. So you definitely want to do this. And I want to kind of reiterate this in a way that I received a question from one of our clients. It was a wife, and she had claimed her own benefits back in 2014 when she was 63 years old. Now, her husband, he doesn't turn 66 until March of 2017. And he had planned to file and suspend his benefits at that point. And at that point, his wife would actually go off of her benefits and go on to his spousal benefit while he was still delaying his till age 70. That makes sense?
Okay, I'm with you.
That's a lot of verbiage, but okay. So what she wanted to know is, could they still continue their current plan under the new law? And the answer is no. So a lot of times we're seeing that people have planned to use this strategy and they're already in the middle of it, and they're not going to be able to use this strategy if they're not turning 66 by April 30th of 2016. So instead, what they could do is the husband could actually file for a restricted application for the spousal benefits when he turns 66. So in other words, he files on his wife's benefit and gets half of hers. And then he still lets his own benefit accrue to age 70. So there's still some opportunities there. You just kind of got to look for them. And that benefit will be disappearing too if you're born after January 1st of 1954. So you have to really know exactly what you're looking at here. But the big thing is if you're supposed to be 66 by the time it's April 30th of this year, you need to be acting now. And we'll be glad to help you walk through this. This is too important and would cost too many families thousands of dollars. So let's end on that note and let's get back to our trivia. We're going to give away 2 free meals to Mary's Cafe in Strawn, Texas today. And I know everybody likes a good steak or chicken fry or something.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I gave you a statistic at the first of the show that was from back in 2012 of how many Americans were actually paying taxes on their Social Security benefits. So here's your multiple choice. Was it 5 million? A. Was it 15 million? B, or was it 35 million? C. Email us, lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. The first person to get the answer right gets that dinner for 2 at Mary's. Also, email us your questions, just like this Social Security question. It was a great question. Make sure you send those to us. The best question every week. We give us a prize away. This week is going to be 2 free movie tickets, so take advantage of that. Lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Let us know your thoughts. We've got a great show planned out for next week. I know it's tax season, and everybody's got taxes on their mind, how to lower them, how to get rid of them. And that's what we're going to talk about. So you don't want to miss the show next week. And, I know this is a voting season, and I just ask everybody to pray for their country right now, pray for what's going on in the world, and get out to vote. It's so important. I think this might be the most important election we've ever had. The tables are turning in major ways. So get out there and vote, and pay attention to what's going on, and let's continue to ask God to bless our country and to bless us as Americans, that we may be able to continue forward and be able to help those others in our world that are less fortunate. So my name is Angela Robinson, and we just thank you as our listeners to the show, and we hope that every week we're able to provide you just a little bit of value that potentially save your bacon.
Thank you so much, Angela Robinson. Come back again, folks, next time for more Life Planning 101.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and again on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock on KATX and KWBY for more Life Planning 101.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through VSR Financial Services Incorporated, a registered investment advisor and member of FINRA SIPC. Kennedy Financial Services is not owned or controlled by VSR Financial Services Incorporated.